So our first topic we're going to talk about is the new library layout. Okay, everybody, you should be able to see my iPad now. I'm basically going to go into the Photos application. You'll see that down on my dock, down on the bottom. Just a warning, these are my photos, right? This is my library. These are my photos. You're going to see my kids and the food that I eat and the hot sauces that I own and all sorts of things like that. So we're going to start off in the left column. I want to point out something about the iPad that, again, if I rotate it, it's going to be a little different whether I'm in landscape or portrait. With my iPad, I have a magic keyboard, therefore I use it in landscape most of the time. Unless I am reading something, I'll move it into portrait if so. When you go to portrait, this left sidebar may collapse or disappear on you, right? So just be aware that you need to kind of open it and close it if you're in portrait mode. If you're in landscape mode, it'll stay there. But at the very top left of that drawer or column, I'm going to use those words interchangeably. It's a column, but we refer to it as a drawer because that little button right there will open and close the drawer, right? So you see I can open and close that drawer as I need to. One of the important things is if the drawer is closed, there are things you will not know where they are or how to find them or where to get them. And it can be a little bit confusing. So just be aware that that's the case, that you may need to open and close the drawer to make things happen. Also, for that drawer, at the top is an edit button, and if we hit edit, we actually have some options as far as like deleting albums, plus signs for making new albums, but just be careful because, again, if you go into edit mode in that column, you may delete things you didn't mean to or whatever. Also in this column, notice there's these right pointing arrows, these little blue arrows. Those are expanding and collapsing the section. So here's our pinned collections. Here's our utilities, our media types, right? So I can expand and collapse those sections. So if the arrow is down, it's expanded. If the arrow is pointing to the right, it is collapsed. So just be aware that you may not be seeing everything all the time, and that's what's important. So notice it says in the right column, top left corner, it says library and 16,000 items. If I go down to days, I don't see that. It doesn't label it as being in the library, right? So just know, and note now it says photos. So you'll notice that the very top part of it looks like the library, and below that is this featured photos area. And I can swipe up, and here's recent days and people and pets and pin, media types, albums, memories, shared. All this different stuff, and at the bottom is a customize and reorder. I can rearrange this little window for myself, and we're going to show you that kind of at the very end after we go over everything. Right, but if I'm right here, notice like as I'm scrolling, it kind of like pauses there for a second. But if I swipe down, suddenly I get past the point, and now I'm in the library. Notice that it says library. Right, and so the library is just a swipe away. We just swipe, and if I swipe up, I'm now back to the entire photos area. But if I reach a certain point here, I'm in the library. So it's that easy to get in and out of the library, and it's not a click or a tap or anything. It's just a swipe. Okay, across the top right, we have a search area. I'm going to tap on the search and just open up search. I am on an iPad that is running Apple Intelligence on it. The difference is going to be if it has an Apple Silicon processor, M1, M2, M3, M4, then it's going to have Apple Intelligence. If it is not one of the M processors, it may or may not. Some of the A15 Bionics can and the A14 can't. So it just depends on the processor on whether your operating system has Apple Intelligence built in. But with Apple Intelligence, we get some kind of better searching and some different features. So I just want to warn you when we're talking about search. Notice it gives me some recently things, recently shared, recently viewed. That's kind of a new concept. But like if I type in the word tree right here, notice it's saying tree, tree trunk, or the word trees. We've got the magnifying glass next to the top too, and or the couple lines of text in the square. It actually can read text inside of photos now. You can copy and paste text out of photos, and so that's what it's saying is that there's photos that have the word tree in them, and we can actually see the word tree somewhere written in the text. Tap on what I'm looking for, and now I'm looking at pictures of trees. Same thing if I'm looking for a dog. Right, so here's a bunch of photos of dogs. I go into a photo, and there's a photo of my dog. There's going to be something that happens here. This is Radar, by the way. Say hi to Radar, everybody. You cannot see part of what's on my iPad right now, because on my iPad, I actually have a place along the bottom where I can hit the trash can, go into edit. There's a little eye for information, and that eye has some sparkles on it because it recognizes this as a dog, right? And so if I hit the eye, it pops up the info area, and it can look up what kind of dog that is. I can't demo that for you right now because Zoom won't let me. If I am on an iPad mirroring into Zoom, Zoom is not going to show you. It's assuming I'm trying to like play a movie or present a slideshow, and then it just limits me. But just know that there is new recognition where if you're in a certain photo and you hit that little eye, circle eye, if there's sparkle, draw a little sparkle on it, it knows that there is something identifiable, a plant, a tree, an animal, a book cover, an album cover, and it'll actually go on the internet and search on Wikipedia and different places and give you more information about what the item is it's seeing. With the same sort of kind of concept of categories, right? So I can type in a category like, say, sunset. So there's pictures that have sunsets in them, and it knows that there's sunsets. I can type in the word water, and it's going to recognize that there's like waterfront or different water elements somewhere in my picture. I love this search. I think it's very, very powerful. I'm going to hit the done and get out of the search area. Next, we have the select. And once I hit select, I can now go check, 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 and check a series of things. And then along the bottom, I have either my share option, where I can now email, text message, airdrop. Below that, I can say copy them, add them to an album or a shared album, copy an iCloud link to send out to somebody so they can just click a link and download them from iCloud, export the original, unmodified originals, print them. I have to have an AirPrint printer on my Wi-Fi network to print from here, save it out to the Files app, or save it out to my Dropbox area. Also under options, I've got some options like don't share the location, right? I can turn that off. If I'm sharing, I might not want the GPS information attached. I have to come here and say turn that off. Okay, so those are some options that I have for sharing. On the right side, I've got a trash can and a little circle with 3 dots. That is the ellipses, or what we call the more menu. There's more to see. So I'm going to tap more, and notice underneath here we have copy, so we can paste them someplace, make them my favorites, make duplicate copies of these photos, hide them. We can have hidden photos now. That's kind of fun. Show in all photos, play as a slideshow, add to an album, revert to original, meaning get rid of any edits that I've made. And then also check this out. This is brand new. Adjust time and date and adjust location. We can now change the time and date stamp on a photo. We can change the GPS location of a photo. That is really good for scanned images. If we have scanned images and put them in our photo library, the time and date stamp is the time and date of the scan, not the date the photo was taken, so we can adjust that. It's going to be located wherever that scanner is located, here at my house, not in Hawaii, not in Virginia. So we can adjust locations, and we can adjust times and dates. Very cool stuff. Notice I can open and close the drawer right here, right now, if I feel like I need to. Also, I'm going to hit cancel to get out of this select area, because I'm done selecting what it is I was selecting. Also in the top right corner is a little profile of me, and if I tap that, it'll tell me the total number of photos in my library, total number of videos. And this new shared with you area, I've had some people complain about this, but it's kind of cool. Those are photos that either somebody text messaged me or emailed me. I didn't save them into my own library. I didn't say save them, I want them in my library, but they're there. They're in my library. This is kind of Apple Intelligence, but it was happening before Apple Intelligence came along, where my Photos app has an awareness that there's shared things in my messages or shared things in my email, and they just show up here. So I can actually come in here and see all the things that people sent to me, not just, you know, what I have taken, but what people have sent to me. right? Shared with me. Okay, hit my left pointing arrow to get back out of there, hit my X to close that spot. Now along the bottom, we've got this up and down arrow thing, and if we tap on there, we can actually change the sort order. Right now it's by the date captured, or the time and date stamp, or when it was recently added, sort by when it got put in the library. Under filter, I can actually just see my favorites, or just see edited photos, or just see videos, or don't see videos, just see photos, or just see screenshots. I'm free to filter this down into one of these. Now, be wary. If you filter it down to only favorites, you're not going to see anything but favorites, and you may forget you did that, right? So if you're in here and you're like, I don't see any videos, where are my videos? Well, if you're filtering it, that's on you. So just be careful if you filter, that you remember that you filtered it. View options, maybe I don't want to see screenshots or shared with you. If everybody's like, I hate to share it with you, well, turn it off and get those out of your library so they're not showing you those. Also, aspect ratio grid is going to make them kind of shrink down into portrait and landscape, or if I go back to the squared photo grid, then it's filling it up. It looks better, but I can't tell what angle the photo is. I also can zoom in or out if I want to see more or less. On the Mac, there's a slider. It makes it a lot easier with the slider, but on here, we have to actually go to this little up-down arrow and zoom in and out. Our other main way of navigating the library is to go up to the month, and then go up to the year, and then we can go from year to year, go back in time. Now we're at the month level, drill back in. Right, and so now I'm at the all level, and now we can actually go in and see, well, what photos were taken back in 2010. There are my kids much younger at ages 4 and 5, 3 and 4, something like that. Also notice under library, it says December 14th, 2002 to 2013. As I scroll, that date and time change, telling me what range of photos I'm seeing on the screen at this moment. I could scroll. It might take a while to get to 2025. So I'm going to go back to the year to scroll faster through the library and then get to 2025 much, much quicker, right? And then I can switch to the month or all so that I have a bigger, better view of all of the photos in there. Also notice there's an X next to the year, month, and all. This X is the get me out of the library, because right now I can't swipe up and get back to the photos area. If I hit the X, now I'm back in the entire photos area, not just the library itself. Swiping down, I'm suddenly in the library. Hit the X, I'm out of the library, kind of, even though I can still see it on the top half of my screen. A little bit strange, but that is the way that it works.